What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1012 of Pop Culture Crisis. My goodness, it gets weirder every day to say that you've done that many episodes of something, but here we are. My name is Brett, everybody. I am here with my guest co-host for the day. He forgot his laptop. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary, and I did forget my laptop. I was in a rush to get out of the house today because I had to come early so that way Brett could get the picture for the thumbnail, and so I was running around. You got a little baby at home constantly making noise and stuff, you know, things get overlooked.
That's going to be outsourced to AI soon. I'm just going to be like, Grok, tell me what Phil looks like today, and it will search through, I don't know, metadata to put together. It's like, well, on Thursday, Phil typically wears a gray shirt, so we're gonna. That's what's gonna happen.
It'd be a neat trick. I mean, look, the more you can offload your workload to a computer, the better it is.
Guys, hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. It's just the two of us today, but I suppose that technically still means boys, boys.
Two of us.
Exactly. Wait, which version of that are you singing?
I was thinking the original.
Okay, I was thinking of the Will Smith version.
Oh yeah, I'm a Will Smith fan, but the one that popped in my head was the original.
Have you seen the videos that are made now about how you track AI progress by Will Smith eating spaghetti?
Yeah, that's legitimately true.
Yeah.
And to think about 2 years ago is when the creepy, weird, you know, disappearing spaghetti where his mouth was, sometimes it was on the side of his face where like it was a Popeye cartoon, just 2 years ago, and now they're basically indistinguishable from reality.
Well, we've got AI to talk about today. I found something I think you might find very interesting, guys. But like I said, hit the like button on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you.
Wrong.
Also, remember, guys, channel memberships for PCC on YouTube are, in fact, open. I did yesterday put out my very first piece of bonus content. Me and Verbal Riot, who is another fantastic dude over on YouTube here. He and I talked about all sorts of things. We got into DC Studios. We talked about the future James Gunn has there with what is going on right now with the sale of Warner Brothers to Paramount. We talked about Marvel. We both talked about Wonder Man, which is a show we both actually really enjoy, but we also discussed what the pitfalls of the upcoming Marvel movies are. Both of us seem to think that the new Spider-Man movie is about the only one that is a sure thing. We got into a whole bunch of other stuff. So if you are not yet a member of the PCC YouTube channel, you can join and get a membership and get access to bonus content like that episode that I put up yesterday. Also, we have a bunch of emojis available for you guys in the chat. There is one of Phil in there already. We made sure to put that up. So if you go into the chat, ladies and gentlemen, you are a channel member, you can put Phil up. It's Judgmental Phil, it's called.
There you go.
You look judgmental in it.
I generally am.
So we got a couple of $20 super chats here. Thank you guys. Already. Yes. Shane H. Wilder. And as always, guys, let's give a preface that my reading is, of course, always horrible. So when it's bad, you know that it's bad. Don't blame me. Blame the American K through 12 education system. It was their fault, not mine.
That's something else you can offload to AI, by the way.
Exactly. Shane H. Wilder says, Happy Thrashin' Thursday, Brett and Phil. I'm going to try and do a video on the importance of physical media this weekend. I had a song stuck in my head, and it was not streaming, so I had to buy a used CD off of Amazon to hear it.
There are songs that are not streaming? Wow.
That's kind of crazy. Like I understand that there are shows that are not streaming. Like that happens all the time. Like you check all your streaming services, the only one that has it is for rent on Amazon, and it costs a fortune. Though I did actually post something yesterday. There's a show I really liked called In Plain Sight. It is a lot of fun. But the funny thing about it is it used to be on Amazon Prime back in like the mid 2010s or whatever, and they got rid of it probably back in like 2017, probably, if I had to guess. That's probably the last time I watched it on there. When they reintroduced it on Prime as something that you can watch without having to pay for, it remembered the episode number I left off on, and it was almost a decade ago.
You know, this topic brings up a good point. If there is something that you actually do really like, it is still worth getting a physical copy, because as long as you're buying a rental, essentially, like you're buying space at whatever your favorite video or music distribution company is, as long as you're renting that song from them because you don't own it, there is a possibility that it will go away, whether it be because of lack of people listening to it or what have you, licensing. Go out and buy physical copies of things you like, even if that means downloading the song onto your computer or
Oh
onto
yeah,
a hard drive.
that's what I do with my shows. Like I have an MB server that has a bunch of stuff that I bought. We'll say I bought them.
Purchased.
From ad-free Tubi. And put them on an MB server so that I can watch it. Most of them, it's like I have the streaming services, right? So most of them are shows that are just ones that are not available on those. So, all right, we got another 20 here from Bo Bandy. Says, oh, hey, it's Philip of the group Everything That's Left. Hope all is well with you and your offspring is healthy.
Yeah, he's great. He's 4 months old now, and he's decided that he doesn't like sleeping at all. So it's
rough, man.
It's rough. Today, like last night, I got back home after the show, after IRL, and my girlfriend was just basically at her wit's end, and I was like, go to bed, I'll take him. So I just grabbed him and took him, and I stayed up most of the night, and then around 6 o'clock this morning I went to bed, and I got up at noon.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was me. So in our family, from what my parents said, my brother slept through everything. Never was awake. I was always awake. Never slept.
Theo, I don't know what his deal is. He's such a light sleeper. I put him down. Like if you put him in the crib and you're not, like, so I've got bad ankles and they crack all the time.
Oh, me too. And elbows.
Yeah, and so like I will literally try to walk out of the room. I'll hear a snap from my ankle, and the kid will wake up, and I'm like,
no, your body is failing you.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
All right, guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. We're going to talk about Britney Spears. She has been arrested and subsequently released. She got a DUI. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to ask Phil perhaps some esoteric questions of what it means to be that, of a certain level of fame and what it does to certain people. So we will get into it. I also want to talk about Henry Cavill. This interview resurfaced. If I remember correctly, and somebody can fact check me if I'm wrong, there's this old interview with Millie Bobby Brown where she talked about the boundaries that Henry Cavill set when they were on the set of the movie Enola Holmes together. They did 1 and 2. I think a third one's coming out, or maybe it already did come out. The point being that he put boundaries in place because she was a minor. She was 15 years old, and he basically said, you can't ask me any personal questions. You have to, it has to be strictly professional for us. And people on the internet are somehow trying to drag him and make the fact that he set boundaries with her when she was a minor as something creepy.
What he did was a preemptive strike against the crazy feminists and the Me Too movement. And why they're upset because he took himself out of danger.
Yes.
By saying I'm setting these boundaries. And it's a similar thing that happened to Mike Pence. They made a big stink because he was like, I don't go into places with women that are not my wife. I don't go to dinner and do that kind of stuff. So he is basically taking that piece off the game board, protecting himself, and they're mad because they are no longer able to use that vector of attack. They're the most nefarious human beings on earth.
He has passed comments basically along those lines for me too. So we'll get into all that. We'll talk about it. Also, the burger wars. It's the only war that I am currently for in the United States of America. Everyone's talking about Iran. Everyone's talking about America, Israel. I'm talking about McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and now A&W. I want to talk about all of the CEOs getting together to basically prove that Americans are easily distracted by slop. And then we will get into it because now RFK Jr. is coming out and saying that, the United States of America is going to put a bunch of money into teaching Americans how to cook again and help them get cooking utensils because they're spending all their money on fast food.
There's a great idea I just had. So, you know how TikTok is now a property of a United States company? The federal government should just tell TikTok to adjust the algorithm so all of the cooking TikToks go into people's feeds regularly, so that way they're inspired to learn.
Maybe that's what will happen. Well, apparently the Rachel Rays of the world just don't work anymore. So we'll talk about that.
That's long form. It takes a long time. Yeah. People don't have time for that. They got to swipe to the next one. And your TV, you can't swipe your TV yet.
Well, they're already pushing for. I know that YouTube and Instagram are now going all in on making sure that you can watch like Instagram on your television.
Well,
vertical video on your TV.
That makes sense. I'm not surprised. Because YouTube has shorts on their on your TV if you want, which is it's such
I've
a
never
weird...
done it, but it's I go through phases where I get stuck on shorts where I can definitely. So if you guys don't use a lot of like YouTube mobile, if you look at enough shorts in a row, when you reopen YouTube, it will be on shorts and just immediately start playing.
Ew.
Whereas if you're watching regular videos and you reopen, it will open to thumbnails and then pre-rolling video. So we'll get into all that. We're also going to talk about Paramount, Ellison derangement syndrome, and a bunch of Hollywood celebrities that are now suddenly clutching their pearls. They're very expensive pearls, I have no doubt. About the idea of somebody in Hollywood, some executive possibly using his influence to push a political message, which is, of course, absurd, given the fact that the great majority of those in Hollywood were always red, as Razor Fist said. They were always communists. We'll talk about it a little bit. I've got a particular quote from Jamie Lee Curtis where, to her credit, she seemed to be really fighting, like, worse than I fight to try and make a coherent sentence. So I understand what that's like. I struggle as well to put together coherent thoughts. So we've got that. We've got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready to go, Phil, we can go. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Let's go for it. Let's talk about Britney Spears. So Britney Spears is an absolute legend in Hollywood. Here's the problem. She has been in what people perceive as one of the most ultimate downward spirals that have been going on ever since the Free Britney movement actually freed her back in 2021. Since then, it's just been a bunch of weird dance videos, juggling knives, all sorts of drama between her and her family, and a lot of people are wondering if that conservatorship perhaps wasn't the worst idea in the world. I think that there seems to be a lot of evidence every day that actually wasn't necessarily the worst thing for her, but having not known her personally, can't speak to it, but I do know that things keep happening. She had a DUI. She got arrested on Wednesday night in Ventura, California, according to Variety. The singer was handcuffed by the California Highway Patrol around 9:30 p.m. and booked early Thursday morning around 3 a.m., according to an arrest record. She has since been released and scheduled to appear in court on May 4th. She recently sold her entire song catalog and a number of her rights away to Primary Wave. That was back in January. And she wrote a since-deleted Instagram post where she said she will never perform in the U.S. again because of extremely sensitive reasons. She goes on, and basically her own agent and manager had to make a statement about this because she was taken to the hospital after the DUI stop. And they're basically saying that there has to be long overdue changes for her, which, if you've ever had trouble with the law, feels like they're posturing for a judge to look favorably upon her if something happens. I don't think anything's going to happen to rich Britney Spears when it comes to a DUI.
No, not
not in any really meaningful way. But she has since deactivated her Instagram account once again since all of this happened.
This is probably a good idea.
Yeah, and says so she was taken to the hospital. She blew a .06, which is actually under the legal limit in the state of California. But from what I understand, you don't have to be over the legal limit to be arrested for any of this. All they have to do is perceive that your driving is impaired.
Yes, and that does actually make sense. I know that people kind of might get up in arms about this, but I don't know exactly how tall Britney Spears is, but I am under the impression that she's not a large woman.
No.
And so just because her blood alcohol is 0.6 doesn't mean that she's not impaired, right? Like, people are different, and different amounts of alcohol affect people differently. We don't know what other kind of medication she was on, so it's completely reasonable to think that she was impaired, even though her blood alcohol level was below the limit. Now, I don't think she should I'm not sure that she should get a driving while intoxicated.
Because DUI, do you know the difference? DUI and DWI are different, right?
I don't know for sure.
So somebody in the chat probably knows. This is one of those things that I know somebody knows, but from what I understand, DWI and DUI are different things. They have different designations. This is what her manager, Cade Hudson, told TMZ.
Kate Hudson,
Cade Hudson.
Oh, Cade Hudson.
With a D. This was an unfortunate incident that is completely inexcusable. Britney is going to take the right steps and comply with the law, and hopefully this can be the first step in a long overdue change that needs to occur in Britney's life. Well, you should be working to do that before she gets in trouble, Cade. You want to keep your client alive as long as possible, otherwise you won't be making your commission checks. Hopefully she can get the help and support she needs during this difficult time. Cade adds, her boys are going to be spending time with her. Her loved ones are going to be coming up with an overdue needed plan to set her up for success and well-being. This is the thing is like, you can tell me if I'm wrong about this. When you're somebody, let's pretend like everything that's ever happened to her, all of the perceived abuse, whatever it is, doesn't happen. And she's merely just somebody who was very successful in the music industry for a long time, but has since retired from performing. It's absolutely true that for high-functioning individuals, when they suddenly don't have a purpose in life, they tend to spiral. It's like when pro athletes retire. A lot of times they fall deeply into things like drinking and drugs because they're filling a hole that used to be filled by practice and conditioning and working towards a goal.
Yeah. So I just asked Tank, my AI assistant,
yes.
if DUI and DWI are the same. He says that they're the same concept. Driving under the influence or driving while intoxicated is the same. In California specifically, they're the same charge. California uses DUI as the standard term for everything not meaningful legal distinction between the two. Between the two there, I'm sorry. Specifics is standard DUI, blood alcohol content 0.08 or higher, or impaired by drugs, alcohol, regardless of blood alcohol content. So it doesn't matter that she blew beneath. If they perceived her as being intoxicated, then they're just like, all right, we're gonna take you in.
Do you think a big part of this could be just the fact that she's not working towards tours, she's not performing anymore? Because this is also true. You can confirm this, I'm sure, that for a lot of people, like pro wrestlers will say once they retire that there's nothing like working in front of a live crowd. That it becomes addicting in a way to need that sort of, not validation, but that rush that comes from performing. Do you think that for her, she maybe doesn't even realize she needs something like a goal to work towards?
Well, like you were saying, working towards a goal is a big part of it, right? Like if you have a low goal, right? And not that being an entertainer that does that for a living is a low, very achievable goal, because it's not. It's actually really, really hard to build a career in the entertainment industry just about anywhere. But if you have a goal that's got a reasonable threshold, once you meet it, once you get there, you're kind of like, all right, well, I can kind of sit back on my laurels now, and
what do I do now?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how do I kind of still have that how do I focus my energy in a way that's going to give me something to do, essentially. So I think that some people handle it better than others, but drugs and alcohol are definitely something that fills that spot for a lot of people.
I just saw some story the other day of like a rock star who says that he beat heroin by doing crank.
That was Billy Idol.
Billy Idol.
He beat heroin by smoking crack. I mean,
that's the problem, though. Like, you get too hung up on the substances. It's not a good thing. But this was the other thing that I'm worried about. So, Britney Spears is of a certain level of fame that very few people in the world will ever actually attain, right?
Yep.
She has stories like this that she has to deal with. Britney Spears gets a restraining order against a Louisiana man. Now, this is like a lifetime restraining order, from which I've been told a permanent restraining order is not super easy to get. She has been granted a permanent restraining order against a Louisiana man after her security team says that he showed up at her LA home and was behind numerous disturbing social media posts about the pop star. The singer filed the court documents against a 51-year-old man named Donald, whom she claimed has been harassing her online since 2013 and was arrested for trespassing her property in 2025. So on top of already being kind of a mess, on top of having strained relationships with her... What's up?
I said kind of a mess. Like you're a very kind person.
Kind of a mess. I guess it depends on how you clarify mess. When you're somebody that's that successful, your basic needs are met. You have a home, you have a car, you have food. Mess is kind of
dancing videos on Instagram with knives, with kitchen knives.
Supposedly fake knives. The sound didn't really indicate fake to me, but
whatever that situation is, that still puts you, I think, firmly into the mess category.
Yeah, so
especially because she was like wearing underwear. It wasn't like choreographed and with lighting and stuff. It was just like, I want to do this in my house, and you're just like, oh, you're like Star Wars kid.
And it always looks like she's got like a phone as old as mine. like it's never like a 4K phone video. It looks really, really... You know what it looks like? It looks like when me, an Android user, receives a video from an iPhone user and it's really grainy.
Yeah.
Like that's what all her videos look like, right? I was like, if she shot this on like a nice camera, it'd be absurd, but it would look like avant-garde weird art rather than just, somebody on a bender in their home going through something like this. But it's hard to imagine that somebody like her doesn't feel the need to kind of get away from it all when you have stalkers stalkers, when you have constant issues with her family. She's trying to rebuild her relationship with her sons. I think it's Jaden, and her other son is Sean, and she's reestablished a decent relationship with Jaden, but Sean is a little bit more hesitant because
how old are those kids? Are they teenagers?
They're in their like late teens, early 20s now.
Okay.
Like they're going off to college and stuff like that. And there's money concerns with all of that because their dad's Kevin Federline was getting money from her while they were under 18. So a lot of people perceive the sons as kind of only coming back into her life because they were no longer getting money from her. And who can you trust? Like I said, her manager, I was like, your manager's first goal should be to keep you happy, healthy, and alive, if for the most pragmatic and kind of cynical reason that they will make more money off you longer if you're alive.
When's the last time that she performed?
2018, I think. Like I think that was when her. I think that was somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about that. I thought I read that. I'm not going to make claims to that, but I think that was when her last residency was. And she, like she said, recently she said that she's not going to work in the U.S. anymore. She doesn't want to perform here, whether that's actually going to happen or not. Like for her, I imagine it would take a hefty payday for her to come back. I wonder if maybe, and this was something I actually had, I had a thought on its face that maybe that Netflix could do the same way that they bring back like ex-fighters for like one-off bouts, is to bring back like rare performers for like pre-recorded live events that maybe it's not the greatest in person, but people would still pay a hefty sum to go and see Britney Spears again for the first time in a long time, but gives them the power to edit it so that they can release it on Netflix as a special, as like some type of attraction. Because it was like Floyd Mayweather's coming out of retirement again.
Yeah. Who's he fighting? Is he fighting
Was it Pacquiao?
Maybe.
It was another one of these fights that everybody knows is an exhibition, but they're going to claim is not an exhibition, and they never go the way they. Or no, it is Tyson. I don't know who. Somebody can go look it up.
I think it might have been Tyson.
I love that though. Like
I think Mike Tyson is. I love Mike Tyson.
I still so my earliest memories of Mike Tyson was I was born in '86, so I was young when he was in his prime.
Yeah.
Right. But we had a VHS at home called Great Sports Moments of the '80s that I watched repeatedly and had a whole section on Mike Tyson knocking people out.
He was an absolutely terrifying man. I mean, nowadays he's still frightening.
Yeah.
Right. Like you watch him train at 59 years old, and it's like, all right, yeah, I definitely don't want him to punch me because he will knock my head literally off of my body.
Have you seen that meme of like Mike Tyson with like all the white powder here, and it says Mike Tyson enjoying a powdered donut at a house party in 1992 or something like that?
That definitely wasn't a powdered donut.
So what do you think? What should
he's not a police officer?
Yes, exactly. What do you think Britney Spears should do? Do you think that she would benefit from going back and performing again? As a musician,
I think that she would benefit from the kind of structure necessary to perform.
Because you, like, when you go back on the road, you have to start training again. You have to get your breath back.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've already started doing rehearsals and stuff at the house, so I'll be in my office just screaming my head off. I've got the same exact rig that I run on tour. I've got a mobile one that I can pack up, and I bring that. Set it up downstairs. I've got Pro Tools set up on my computer, so I just run the actual set that we're gonna do through the Pro Tools rig. I've got everything that I hear on stage, all the clicks, all the.
How long is a show for you? Like, is one of your shows?
Usually we do about an hour, depending on what we're doing. So it'll probably be about an hour and 10 minutes or so.
That sounds intense.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I'm up there yelling. It's not like getting up and standing in one place.
No,
and
absolutely.
Just
I
singing,
have done so. I have done solo episodes here, like just where I talk for an hour and 20 minutes, and after the first one I realized I had to slow down my rate of speed. Because by segment 2, first of all, my voice was going. Because I'm already as everybody knows, I'm very, very fast paced when I talk. It's very annoying. But when I do segments at home, I can do 15-20 minutes, and that's fine. I can rant about something for 20 minutes, hit click, and I'm in the same shape when I'm done. But the idea mentally of going for another 40 minutes doing that is insane. And you're doing it for over that while moving and standing and moving around.
And also like to use the muscles in your face and throat necessary to like hit notes, and actually because you have to hit the notes. You can't just be kind of around them. You actually have to be in key and stuff. So that does take a significant amount of actual physical effort. So your diaphragm gets tired. If I'm not rehearsing a decent amount out from the tour, by around 45 minutes, I'm gassed, and I'm like, we've got another, 30 minutes or 20 minutes of songs to play.
So it's basically like being in stage shape is like pro wrestlers would talk about this, where like if they go part time, they're just gassed immediately because they have to be doing it consistently. Otherwise, they're not in what they call ring shape.
Yeah, if I'm not spending like the last 3 weeks are going to be really intense, but I've already started doing rehearsals and stuff. So I'm gonna we get back from, actually not the last 3 weeks, the last month, 5 weeks. When I get back from the trip that we're doing, I don't think Tim's actually announced where we're going and stuff. So when I get back from the trip that we're doing, it'll be the last week in March. So I'm gonna do the last week in March, and then all of April, I'll be practicing at least 4 or 5 times a week. I'll be doing it alone for 3 weeks, and then when I head up to New England in April to do rehearsals with the band, it'll be probably 3 or 4 times a week we're rehearsing until the tour starts. And even the days where, like when the crew comes in, I think the crew will come in I think 3 days before the tour starts. I'll do rehearsals on my own without the band there, because the crew starts breaking our stuff down, make sure that our gear's all working, make sure if there's anything we need, we can go ahead and get it shipped overnight or whatever from Sweetwater or whoever has it, so that way we have all the stuff we need before we pack it all up and get into the bus.
I remember when I think I've told this story before. I watched this interview where Stone Cold Steve Austin talked about like the moments he was like most proud of in his matches, and one of them he said was after he came back from his neck surgery, broke his neck. Still wrestled for like 2 years and then finally had to have like neck fusion surgery. Said that the most important moment of his first WrestleMania match back against The Rock was after he beat him, he immediately stood up and wasn't out of breath after like 27 minutes in the ring of nonstop movement. That he was not gassed, he was in really, really good shape, and he was just like, it was a testament to like the amount of work it took to get back into shape to do that after such a heavy surgery.
Like I said, I mean, the initial plan was to actually start really hitting it hard this month, but because of the events that are coming, I'm gonna have to take that kind of 2 weeks where I'm not doing it. But I'm hoping that there's an LA Fitness around, so I can go and at least do cardio while I'm away, because I have to get my lung capacity up, make sure that I've got I'm not gassed when I get out there.
Britney Spears, I think she needs to go back on the road and start performing again. I think it would be good for her.
And another thing is, like, when it comes to, something like Britney Spears, like, because of her financial situation, she's going to have like a trainer and probably a choreographer. So she'll probably train for 6 months before the tour starts, right? Like she'll start doing just doing exercising and start learning the dance moves, because the whole thing's choreographed. So every night it'll be the same. So it would probably take her 6 months to get everything done, choreographed. She'll figure out the things she likes, the things she doesn't like, and they'll make the changes. But just that structure and doing it, whatever she does 4 or 5 times a week, it gives you something to focus on. So that way, if she is indulging in substances, there will be other things to preoccupy her mind, as opposed to, hey, I can drink or what have you.
Brittany, listen to us. Go back out on tour. It's going to be good for you. I'm telling you. Listen to us. We are right here. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Millie Bobby Brown and Henry Cavill, because Henry Cavill, this quote is crazy. The response to this is crazy. And somebody can let me know down below, because they'll know actually better than me if you're a fan of the channel. I believe we covered this story initially when this interview came out. People thought it was a matter of interest, what Millie Bobby Brown was saying about how Henry Cavill behaved on the set of Enola Holmes. But the response that I'm seeing in these reposts is very, very fascinating. They're trying to paint Henry Cavill in a negative light because he set firm boundaries with Millie Bobby Brown when they worked together on the initial Enola Holmes, because she was 15 years old and he was an adult, and he thought that, for the most part, he has to have a private life, and it's not her place to know what's going on in his private life. This is what it said. Millie Bobby Brown says that when she worked with Henry Cavill on Enola Holmes, he set very clear boundaries because she was only 15 at the time, and he wanted to keep their relationship strictly professional. In an interview, Millie explained that Cavill had, quote, terms and conditions, joking that whenever she tried to ask him about his personal life, he would quickly shut it down and say with a simple, Millie, no, to which she would reply, understood. She said she actually respected that a lot, describing him as someone who is naturally more private and reserved. She also noted that their dynamic felt more adult and professional compared to the playful friendship she had with her Stranger Things castmates. Well, I mean, there's like adult and child castmates on Stranger Things. So I don't know if she's talking about like David Harbour or if she's talking about Finn Wolfhard. So there's not really any, quote there about that. She emphasized that Cavill's approach helped maintain a respectful and appropriate working environment when they filmed together. And one of the first responses I saw that was really funny, Aaron Sparrow said, "Wild that being appropriate with a child is newsworthy, but then again, it is Hollywood."
Look, I think the big takeaway for this is they don't care about sexual assault. They care about being able to attack men.
Yep.
The point
like
is,
you said, vector of attack.
Yeah, it's a vector of attack. It's not that they care about the victims. It's not that they care about sexual assault. It is, we can use this as a vector of attack. We want to be able to attack you. So when you take that piece off the board, when you remove yourself from a position where you could be made vulnerable, they hate it. And it's the exact same kind of argument. Well, it's the exact same thought process that people had when Mike Pence said, "I don't go to dinner with women." And then it's like, oh, well, what? You can't trust yourself. You can't do this and da da da. As if Mike Pence saying, "I don't put myself in positions where I could be compromising positions," is probably a good way to phrase
that's a good way.
I don't put myself in compromising positions, and so people attack him for that because it's not about what they think it's about or what they say it's about. It's about wanting to be able to attack a person. So they don't attack him for actually performing, having a sexual assault or whatever, or attempting a sexual assault. What they attack them for is being a creep or a weirdo because, oh, you should be able to go out and be in a situation without doing that. And if you can't, then you're weird and blah, 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 blah. It's all BS. It's all about being able to attack men they don't like. And Henry Cavill is kind of like the apex guy they don't like, right? Like, he's an attractive guy, he's huge, he's extremely successful. He's also not woke. If all
at the very
indications
least,
are
he's private enough that he doesn't you don't really know one way or the other.
I don't believe that woke people like 40K.
That's a fair point. They don't like Warhammer.
Yeah, they don't like Warhammer. Warhammer has been successful in keeping them out because they're kind of no good guys. I'm not extremely well versed in Warhammer's lore, but all the stuff that I hear, it's like basically everybody's a fascist. Yeah. So there's no one that the left can kind of decide that they side with, because
like Magic the Gathering when orcs became racist.
Yeah, they
like you said, vector of attack.
They can't do anything with it because they're all just monsters. The humans are all monsters. The bad guys are all monsters. The chaos demons, they're all just brutal. And there's nothing that the woke people can glob onto and say, well, we'll use this as a vector to change the stuff. It's all fascists. It's all the bad guys.
We got a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, Cavill's arrangement is a shining example of smart people learn from their mistakes. Brilliant people learn from other people's mistakes. Cavill has seen this potential minefield before. Smart dude. Thank you. Hey. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's hope it resets and everything. I'm going to tell you why Henry Cavill takes this position, and it goes all the way back to the year 2018 when he first got Me Too, what they call Me Too backlash because of quotes that he had made, and he did apologize for this, but this was his initial quote. "I think women should be wooed and chased, but maybe I'm old-fashioned for thinking that way. It's very difficult to do that if there are certain rules in place, because then it's like, well, I don't want to go up and talk to her because I'm going to be called a rapist or something." If Henry Cavill has that concern, then you and I, my friends, have absolutely no chance whatsoever. I apologize for that, but it is the truth. He did, however, apologize for these comments, which is peak 2018 Hollywood, that somebody would apologize for something so benign. But that is the reason why they've taken so negatively to him for such a long time. And I'm going to read you some of the quote tweets about this. Like I said, they are treating this as some type of confession for him of bad behavior. This person said, now they're talking about Millie Bobby Brown here, so go with me on this. "Her not being able to spot when adult men have said something really weird to her is so peak for them because she just talks about it in interviews like it's fine and cute, and then everyone else who sees it is like, what the actual F? This and the Drake thing." Now, this person is right about the Drake thing because it was weird as hell that Drake was texting Millie Bobby Brown when she was like 13 years old. But as to the rest of us, I don't think anybody in their right mind sees setting boundaries with an underage coworker because Hollywood is one of those weird places where adults in their 30s work side by side with people who are teenagers or underage, and Hollywood has long been known for not taking care of their underage performers because Hollywood is generally a pretty despicable place.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, setting boundaries is always acceptable. Don't listen to any of this psyop. Men, protect your virtue. It used to be where women had to protect their virtue, but nowadays it's men. Young men, don't pay no mind to them hoes.
Amen.
Put the foot down, tell them that you're not interested, and don't let them put you in a position where they can attack you, because that's exactly what they want. They want you vulnerable, and they will use your libido as a vector of attack.
We got a couple of
mind them hoes.
Couple of 20s here from Corey Anderson says, today is my son's 18th birthday. Happy birthday, kid.
Happy birthday,
Jacob. I apologize, Corey. Sent me another one. He says, did you read my previous $20 super chat? You really do need Mary, don't you? Well, I apologize that I'm running this whole thing by my lonesome. If you want to come here and do the other part of this job, you are welcome to come here, my friend.
Boo.
Boo. Okay.
Boo with your criticism.
Let's continue. This person says, if I say what this looks like to me, especially with the rumors about this man. So I was curious as to what these rumors were. And from what I can gather, the rumors are because he dated a 19-year-old when he was 33. That's what that's what it is. It says
perfectly normal.
Henry Cavill dated a 19-year-old when he was 33, said the Me Too movement made him scared to flirt with women because they might accuse him of rape, and had to set boundaries with 15-year-old Millie Bobby Brown to keep their relationship strictly professional. What a loser. And then, of course, somebody says, last time I checked, 19 was legal, and he was right to set boundaries with a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Yes, 110%. Here's more of the criticism of him. Normal adults do not need to adopt terms and conditions to have healthy boundaries with children. Everything Hollywood has taught me is that is 110% not true at all. In fact, it's the complete opposite. This person says, that is so weird as an attitude. This person says, trying to be overly strict to distract from the allegations, but it just makes you seem more suspicious.
There aren't even allegations.
No. And the other thing is, like, it's not suspicious unless you are a terminally online weirdo.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries is, like, these are the same people who talk all the time about how people in relationships should set boundaries with one another, but somehow setting boundaries with an underage coworker is the weird thing.
It's insane.
Like, that's insane to me. This person says, it's hilarious that Henry Cavill dipped on her when she tried to get with him a few years ago. No proof of that whatsoever. They're just throwing these things out there. Every time you hear... here's a good one. One person says, every time you hear something about Henry Cavill, he just seems even better and more based than previously thought possible. This person says, the negative response to this tweet is jarring because it's generally a best practice in vocations that involve working with children to set professional boundaries with kids and be firm about them.
Not just children. Yes, 100%, right? But yes, and, right? Yes, and it's good to set boundaries with women. Like, it's not just about setting boundaries with children. You should set boundaries with women as well. So that way you're not in a position where you could be looked at as some kind of bad person, or you could be accused of something, or something could be misunderstood. Set boundaries so that way everybody's aware of how the relationship is supposed to go. If someone steps over the boundary, leave.
Yep. They go on. This person says, oh, he's a weirdo. This person says, I'm weak, LMFAO. He about to have them allegations go mainstream, so he's doing damage control through her. First of all...
Again, what allegations?
Yes.
There are no allegations because Henry Cavill sets boundaries.
It's crazy, and it is weird, because I am one of those people where I am not like I am not a Henry Cavill loyalist, per se. I don't think he would be a great choice to play James Bond. I actually don't think that would be the right thing to do. I think he's actually too muscular. He'd have to lose weight and muscle mass to play James Bond. But in general, he seems to make all the proper choices when it comes to his private life, and he does seem to have a refreshingly, like, everyman take on his life. Like, he doesn't seem to approach Hollywood in the same way that a lot of other people do. But you should be weirded out by the amount of people who want you to somehow not set boundaries with people that are underage.
This might be a little bit of a hot take, but honestly, Henry Cavill is too good for Millie Bobby Brown.
You know, she's married now. She's
Good.
she's married to Bon Jovi's son.
Good.
So they're and she's got her own, you know, things that come on because they adopted children, and she's become this avatar for wanting to be a mother.
Adopted children. Henry Cavill is too good. He should have his own sons.
He does have a child now. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but he does have kids now. Right now he's working on Highlander. He's got that coming out. He's got his own stuff going on. But I would like to live in a world where you don't have to worry about these types of things. But Hollywood is one of those places where there are just, whether it's quiet on set, it's everything that's ever happened at Nickelodeon over the years, Disney, everybody knows that Hollywood is not the place you bring your kids if you want them to come out well-adjusted. Henry Cavill seems to be the exception to the rule, that he is the one who actually is safe to be around because he sets firm boundaries.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the burger wars. In the world that we're living in right now, as everybody is arguing about the U.S. versus Iran, are you pro-war? Are you anti-war? Do you think we should launch missiles? Do you think we should put boots on the ground? Is this a proxy war? Is this about oil going to China? Who knows? Who cares, apparently, because slovenly Americans are arguing about which burger place has the better CEO to promote their extremely unhealthy product. And frankly, you can't buy this level of mimetic and viral fame on the internet right now. If you're trying to bump your stock price for the company, if you guys don't know, we talked about it the other day. I'm sure you saw this video, Phil, of the McDonald's CEO who looked like he had never eaten McDonald's before in his life. He looked like it disgusted him. He didn't look like he wanted anything to do with it. He took like the smallest little nibble of his new Big Arch burger. And as far as I'm concerned, he was the most CEO-looking CEO that I've ever seen. The only thing missing was a quarter zip. Everything else was about spot on. But there's now been like a rush of other videos as they are all burger mogging each other. That is right. They are all bite maxing, trying to burger mog one another as all of the CEOs come to blows. Let's watch this.
All right, the moment of truth.
There was the original one.
That's a burger. That is so good. I love this product. It is so good.
By the way, I need to know your take on this. So the first time I saw that, I didn't find it weird at all because that's exactly how CEOs talk about what they sell. Like, it's just funny because it's food. But whenever I talk about David Zaslav at Warner Brothers or David Ellison at Paramount, it's always like, we are here to build a multi-platform product that increases shareholder value. Yep. I really want to see this product from Tom Cruise increase shareholder value by creating synergistic opportunities with theaters.
Yeah.
That's how they talk.
It's very not human. I mean, you would think that he'd be like, this new Tom Cruise movie that we got coming out is the bomb.
That's what they should.
You know, like, because then it humanizes not just him, but humanizes the product, right? Yeah. Like, if all you hear is, oh, it makes value for shareholders, it makes value for shareholders, it makes value for shareholders, you don't think that it actually does produce value for shareholders because it doesn't sound like they care about the product beyond what kind of revenue it generates.
Yeah. I heard somebody describe CEOs as they're like mildly autist math geeks who just happen to be a little bit better at human interaction than the average everyday person because they have to learn how to kind of schmooze a board, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what they have to be good at. So let's continue the video here.
I'm going to do a tasting right now.
We love this burger product, which most people call a burger.
Of course, we're starting with our Windy Square patty, fresh, never frozen beef.
Tank is more human than that guy.
Nothing better.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a tasting right now, but I'm going to eat this for my lunch, just so you know.
I'm going to do a tasting right now, but this is actually my lunch.
He's making fun of him. That's the A&W.
Oh, of course, you got to have a Frosty with a burger. Is this set up today? Oh, wait, our machines are always working.
That is so good.
Only one thing missing, a napkin.
All right, the moment of truth.
All right. So first of all, I want your take on it because I saw this video from. Actually, you know what? Let's play this first. So now what we're seeing is RFK Jr. is talking about how Americans don't know how to cook anymore, and the reason why the Burger King, the McDonald's, and the Arby's, and the CEOs of all these companies are making record profits is because even though they're charging more and more every year, people are still paying it because Gen Z and even elder millennials don't know how to cook anymore.
Yeah.
So let's watch this clip here.
Every American can feed themselves cheaper than fast food.
He doesn't.
One of the challenges that
he sounds so
we're
wrong.
facing.
Like he could never have been president.
No.
And that we're working on all kinds of innovative devices to solve is that Americans have forgotten how to cook. Well, the convenience of fast food is one of the things that attracts them. And many of them don't have the cutlery. They don't have the pots and pans. They don't have the cutting boards. And they don't know how to shop. And one of the things that we're talking about now at HHS is to use the Commission Corps or other groups within our agency to go out and actually teach people to cook. Every American.
Okay, so like, I just laugh at this. By the way, guys, I was like, this is why doing this job as one person is so difficult. YouTube was like, my window was frozen and it kept stalling out, and I'm like, I'm gonna let RFK talk while I try to get this figured out. But it looks like we're good now. But
Great,
this
you're the most transparent host on the internet.
Yes. This is the most. Oh, it always ends up being bad once I go to the audio end of the platform because I'm like, I didn't need to say all that. They would have the audio listeners would have never known. They wouldn't never known. But I laugh at this because this is the most American thing I can think of. Depending on your political beliefs, you're looking at the most pro-capitalist members of American society selling you slop and doing so via viral moments on the internet. Does this signal to you that Americans are just like desperate to need to learn how to cook, or is it just a funny moment online?
I do think that it is. I do think that Americans need to learn how to cook. I do think that people need most young Americans in particular desperately need guidance as how to, in regards to how to function like an adult.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know exactly why that is. I don't know where the disconnect was with their parents. But I think that it goes beyond just cooking. I think that, most Americans, young Americans, should have been told how to save money, like how to properly use credit, how to properly. What interest is? Yeah, what interest is, how to do a budget, like simple things like that you probably used to get 50 years ago in school. But nowadays they just don't get that at all.
I think sometimes this is just my view of things. It's like the world has gotten simultaneously easier and more complicated at the same time. What I mean by that is like there's an application or something that can make a difficult process easier on you. But back in the day, life wasn't as instantaneous as it is now.
True.
Like when you had something you had to get done, you got a notice in the mail. And then you had a recommended amount of time that you got to answer that because you had to make do for the fact that you had to mail something back to them or call a number. Now you live in this kind of, and maybe this is just me, but now because of the way in which things are supposed to be done, you live in a sense of like quiet panic.
Yeah,
something always needs to be done.
But did something important automatically go to my junk folder?
Yes.
Like what did an important notification just did the AI and Google decide? No, you don't need to see that.
It's ruining job applications. Like, I was watching this video. It's like it's destroyed the job search market for people because companies are implementing AI to basically weed out applications. And they're not very good at it. So you're applying for 200 places. Out of those 200 places, maybe 50 of them actually got your resume in front of them because of the tools they're using to sort through it all.
Yeah.
Like on top of that, like you said, stuff goes to the junk folder. You don't know. You want to apply for a job at like a gas station now. You have to fill out like a personality assessment so that they can weed out bad employees to go work for a place where you're going to make not minimum wage, but you're not going to be making like big bucks.
You can make more than minimum wage at a gas station just running a checkout.
I mean, yes, you can.
Those jobs are gone. those jobs are going to be replaced by AI very, very soon.
Well, I mean, like out here
automatic
we have
checkouts and stuff.
Out here we have Sheets, which has 2 automatic checkouts in one regular.
Wawa does
that
too.
actually won't, because they sell alcohol and tobacco, which will always need a human being to sell it to you. They won't be allowed to legally sell it to you unless some major lobbying goes down. In DC. But beyond that,
well, I mean, you could very easily say you could have the automatic checkout. You know, you put some kind of restricted product, and you have to present your ID, and they'll check the age and the ID. That's very easy to do.
But then, like, would they have to use like facial recognition? What if it's like not like it's just your big brother's ID?
Both of those things, I think, are very, very simple. Yes, they would have to use facial recognition. You'd have to be like, okay, so we have to see your face, and you have to see the ID. And I think that honestly, I think that would probably be more reliable than people that are actually checking IDs.
No, I mean so when I worked for 2 gas stations, they like, you get state inspections, so you're it's not in your best interest to be lax about that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they give you like the basic rule where it's like, if they look over this age, and you're like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Like in today's day and age, like, what does looking over 30 mean? But they checked pretty regularly to make sure that you were because they send in somebody who's just old enough.
I can say this: when you're 20, someone that looks 30 looks very different than someone that looks 30 to someone who's 50. When I look at a 30-year-old and I'm, at my age, I'm like, yeah, that person looks very, very young. And then it's like, oh, they're 30. I'm like, wow, I would have guessed a lot younger.
I think that America also is just constantly in need of distraction. So, and maybe this is a terminally online take, because all of this is mostly happening on X, to watch all of the burger mogging going down. By the way, I want to shout out the Wendy's CEO, who does win this in my regards, because he's doing what all CEOs are supposed to do, which is wear a quarter zip. And he's not just wearing a quarter zip, he's wearing a Wendy's branded quarter zip, which is, of course, makes perfect sense for that.
Of course.
I did like this take from someone. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah. McDonald's CEO is still clearing. I've now even come around on the OG viral video of his. We simply didn't understand his game. He's the CEO. It's a product to him. Apparently someone in the test kitchen asked what his favorite food was, and he just said, fish. I eat a lot of fish. Don't even think to answer with an item that the company he's the CEO of produces. This is a raw input-output organism that we are dealing with. Burger King CEO went for the obvious transparent burger mogging attempt by taking a bigger bite. So obviously a mog attempt that it actually puts him below McDonald's CEO, because he tried to do it. He was trying to mog, therefore he automatically falls under the McDonald's CEO. Wendy's CEO attempt is a nothing burger. It lacks the autistic CEO authenticity of McDonald's and even the obvious marketing move of Burger King. I agree, because basically I saw people talking about the different archetypes that the 2 CEOs represent. I'm not even kidding you. We're basically the McDonald's CEO is your Bill Gates-esque CEO who is supposed to be inaccessible because of his level of intellect, or at least that's how he's been perceived. He's got the glasses, he's kind of a nerd. Whereas your Burger King CEO looks like he's not a Fortune 500 CEO, but he's a dude who really rallies the troops for his employees, and he's owned maybe it's a family business, maybe he's been in charge there for 15, 20 years, and he keeps his employees and his customers loyal by kind of leading the charge. And all of this just tells me people are starved for actual things to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's because talking about Iran in America and Israel is boring.
I disagree about your take on talking about Iran
Yes.
and China and the United States. But when it comes to this type of content, there are definitely people that will get as deep into the weeds as they possibly can. Body posture, what you're wearing, those kind of things. It doesn't compel me, but it does compel some people.
Also, apparently, Wendy's is hiring a taste tester for their food with a $100,000 salary.
Whoa! Look, Wendy's needs some work on their fries, but Wendy's burgers, yes.
The sea salt fries are really good.
I'm not sure that I've ever tried the sea salt fries as opposed to the regular fries, but they're regular fries, and I think part of this is because they don't cook them long enough, and I think that most places don't cook them long enough. I think they could probably all use 30 seconds additional, like just industry wide. If you put your fries down for 2.5 minutes, they should be down for 3. I understand that they're trying to cut every second they can because time is of the essence. But to get a properly prepared fry, no matter where I go, I almost always have to say, make them extra crispy. Give them a few extra seconds in the fry later because I don't like soggy fries.
Who makes the worst fries?
The worst fries? It's
most people say Culver's.
So I've had Culver's before. I don't know that I think they're the worst fries. Of the fast food stuff that I like, it's actually my favorite burger place that makes the worst fries, In-N-Out. They're terrible. I do like Five Guys fries, but again, they come out too soggy. They're really
soggy. I mean, I like them because they have the seasoned fries.
Yep.
Which I really like.
They still need, if you leave them in there for, when it comes to Five Guys, probably an additional minute would probably be necessary.
But I don't like them necessarily super crispy. Like the reason I was actually
they're called fries, Brett. They're not mashed potatoes, which is what you get when you don't cook them long enough. They're called fries. They're supposed to be fried.
You must have been to you must have at least tried every fast food restaurant with the amount of travel you've done in the
I
US.
can't think of one that I haven't tried.
Yeah.
I've had Culver's. I've had, Whataburger, the regional ones, like, In-N-Out, Whataburger. In-N-Out is my favorite burger in the United States. I think that it's awesome. Only if you don't put the whole half of an onion they want to put on there.
I'm preferential to Culver's. Burger-wise, I'm preferential to Culver's, but I do that knowing that the fry experience is going to be mediocre at best.
That's the exact same thing that I do with In-N-Out. When I go to In-N-Out, I don't even bother ordering fries.
I also think Burger King is underrated, and people hate on Burger King because flame-broiled burgers are actually really, really good.
Burger King is very good,
and they probably are one of the few ones that actually does do crispy fries most of the time.
Yep, Burger King's fries are good. Burger King's burgers are good. McDonald's has the thing about McDonald's is it's very consistent. They're always like a 4, but it's always a 4. You have to travel internationally to get over the 5. But McDonald's fries are again, if just so long as they're not rushing them out because there's a big long line. McDonald's fries are probably my favorite French fries.
I complained the other day. I said I like McDonald's fries because they're like halfway between a shoestring and a regular. But the problem is the ones that we get, and I fully admit me and Olivia have been guilty of going to McDonald's more than we should lately. Usually on nights where I work late and we just don't feel like cooking.
I'll probably go to McDonald's like if I average it out like once every other month, maybe twice.
I mean, for the first 3 years, last 2 or 3 years, we didn't ever go. Then she hadn't had chicken nuggets in years, got some chicken nuggets, really wanted them, and then we got on a cycle of going more regularly.
I don't feel bad about McDonald's breakfast because if you get an Egg McMuffin with no butter, it's actually really good. There's preservatives in the cheese, and it could be better, but all the rest of it is actually very good. The macros are there, man.
I was curious what the Mahas thought about all of this. They're not happy, and the Mahas are the Mahas are one-issue voters here, guys. Like if RFK isn't giving them exactly what they want and they're not getting rid of the glyphosate out of everything, they aren't going to vote for you. So, Americans need to get away from the burger wars or they're going to lose the next election. Before we move on, I am going to play you this guy got another chance at making a video. They brought the McDonald's CEO back for a second video,
so he could try another product.
He got another run, and this one is better. So we're gonna let him have his rebate here. So let's listen.
Hey everybody, we are here to do another spectacular McDonald's taste test, and I've got.
Notice they don't have the fries awkwardly sitting up. There's no fries awkwardly sitting up. The Coke is it's kind of half off camera, not perfectly showing you a logo there. He's improving.
Yeah. On my right here, the classic McDonald's Big Mac, which you all know and love. I certainly love it.
I love it.
And then we have our chicken Big Mac, which has been on our menu before, and it's coming back to make a reappearance. So we're going to do a little comparison between the two, starting with, of course, the iconic McDonald's Big Mac. So here we go. First, visual appeal is very strong. Looks fantastic. Can't wait to bite into it. The cheese is nice and tempered.
And stop talking about it then and do the bite.
Cheese was tempered. So this is something I brought up with Mary, is that when I first started at Timcast, Papa John came.
Oh, yeah.
And he does this. He
just
would do
after
this,
he said the N-word, right?
Yes. Well, I don't know if it was just after, but he definitely already said it by then.
Post N-word.
But this was a thing where he would go do inspections at local chains where they had criteria that it had to meet.
Yeah.
And he went and he inspected the ones from the local. I think they got like a middle. From the local Papa John's, and they only got like a middle rating. But he did offer some grace, saying that he got there kind of late, so he didn't get to look at it fresh out of the oven, and maybe it might have gotten a different score.
You know, now that I think, just 1 second. Now that I think of that, I think that most places, because I mentioned earlier the fries weren't cooked long enough. One of the things that I don't like about Papa John's generally is like I don't feel like the pizzas are cooked long enough. I think overall, the desire to have things to people fast has led to a general undercooking of most fast food.
Yeah.
I think most fast food, save for your burgers, I think most fast food probably needs a little more time to cook, and it comes out better.
Let's let him finish the video here. See if he looks more human. He made sure to take the biggest bite he could possibly. The art director was off camera like, you better freaking take a... Yeah.
You get a great hit of Big Mac sauce in that. I tasted it. I loved it. The beef notes there, it all works so well together. It may be actually the perfect sandwich, although chicken's now going to try to give it a run for the money. So let's try
We need the soda CEOs to do this, because I am consistently beleaguered. Like, people are always upset with me because I say Coke is garbage and Pepsi is better. The only time Coke wins is when it's out of a McDonald's fountain drink. That's the only time Coke wins.
I don't agree. I'm a Coke fan, Coca-Cola fan. I think that Coca-Cola from the bottle is the best. The Mexican Coke, if you get Mexican...
Oh, the glass bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mexican Coke with a well-prepared, well-cooked pizza. Look out, man.
Yep.
Look out. Good.
I engage in these debates, even though I gave up soda like a couple years ago because I was just like... I hold the weight of soda too much. My face gets really puffy.
Okay.
That type of liquid calories is just... I used to drink so much soda, and finally I had to just get rid of it.
Yeah.
But I'm still a Pepsi loyalist. That is just my perspective.
Chicken Big Mac and see how it compares. Same build. So you'll recognize we still have the 3 buns. We still have all the lettuce
sauce,
and cheese, and of course the McDonald's Big Mac sauce. But we now have 2 chicken patties. So let's give this a try. Really good. One of the things I did like about this chicken Big Mac is the crunchiness of the chicken. You get a crunch with this chicken Big Mac that you don't get with the regular Big Mac, which just gives it a little bit of a different mouthfeel. But I think the Big Mac's...
Mouthfeel is a real thing, by the way. That's something that they talk about, is like if you eat chicken, it does have a different texture depending on the breading and stuff like that.
Or it should, at least.
Yes.
Sauce works great with this. So there we have it. Taste test on both. How do you make the decision? When do you choose to go with the regular Big Mac? When do you decide to go with chicken Big Mac? My advice would be, don't choose. Actually, just choose to buy both. They're both great products.
Smart.
They're both great products.
Look, that actually does speak to an idea that I have called the backup burger.
Okay.
Right? So whenever you're going to a place that you know, right, McDonald's, Burger King, what have you, and there's something on the menu that you want to try.
You've talked about this before.
Get what you're going to try, and then you get an old favorite.
Yeah.
You get the new thing, and then you get your old stuff, because God only knows if this new abomination that they've thrown together is going to be, is going to be prepared well, is going to be good. If you don't like it, you got the backup burger, so that way you know that you're not going to go hungry. Go and do your experiment.
Yep.
But make sure you get a backup burger as well.
All right. Words of wisdom here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at Cute of the Day. We do have one here. Who did we get this one from today? Yes, this one's from Cookie Don. It says, playing in the corner. There's 3 of them here. There's a puppy and 2 kitties. No names, but they do look like they're all having fun going in a circle.
Oh, really?
Like they look like they're all kind of
sniffing each other's butts.
Yes, they are. All right. Remember, guys, you can submit your pets for Cute of the Day on X. Tag me in there at Brett Dasovic and use the hashtag PCCPets. I know people don't use hashtags anymore, but it still makes it easier for me to find them on there. Let's talk about Paramount. Let's talk about politics. Let's talk about Hollywood suddenly trying to clutch their pearls over the idea of a company in Hollywood exercising some level of political influence, as if that is something new that nobody in Hollywood has ever seen before. Well, listen to what Jamie Lee Curtis, legendary actress Jamie Lee Curtis, has to say about this, because they asked her how she felt about the upcoming merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers.
Just can't wait.
Let's listen.
Speaking of today's world, big news happening in the industry with Paramount and Warner Brothers. What are your thoughts on the potential merger?
You know what? I am not versed enough in what the real ramifications. I mean, any consolidation is always going to ask questions about how much power does that one large company hold over what we see and hear, and who takes the decisions within that company. It's not a democracy.
It's a business. What are you talking about? Like, that's not what business is.
No.
It's like they don't know any other word to use for it.
They don't. I mean, I don't know that Jamie Lee Curtis has always been stupid, but
I think she dropped out of high school.
This is a stupid thing to say.
Granted, that doesn't mean anything. My boss dropped out of high school. He's not stupid, so that's not the point. But she's working in Hollywood, so it's not like they're going to be taxing their brains at any level. So let's continue.
Run by businessmen. So are we now going to be fed content based on what that businessman's political and creative vision is? Or can art still exist within that framework? And that's always the question anytime there's a big consolidation of creative business entities into one mashup.
Hold that right there.
Yes.
There's one thing I want to say.
Go for it.
Do you want your art democratized? What gives you the idea that democratizing art is going to produce better art? Right? Like, the artist that has the vision is the one that should be deciding how the art is created. The artist that has the vision should be the one that's actually producing it, and everyone should get on board with the artist's vision, right? You don't want to democratize art. You don't want art through a committee. You don't want art through, proper channels where everyone gets a say about it. That's literally what people complain about in the music industry when they say, oh, well, the record label has to listen to it. The record label has to say this is okay, that's not okay. That argument against record labels, against big corporations, has been the argument forever. So why on earth would you think that democratizing art, whether it be visual art or musical art, is now a good thing? This is totally backwards. It's totally upside down.
So then how do you feel about this side of it? So one of the things that I frequently complain about when it comes to the Hollywood types that make the movies, this is usually as much of a problem when it comes to the creatives behind the camera, at least the ones with names that people know, as opposed to necessarily just the actors. But what they constantly tell you is that I wanted to make this movie, and the studio didn't like what I wanted to make, and they said I had to make these changes. And then they get really upset that the people who are handing them millions upon millions of dollars to make something get mad when they don't make a product that they feel, again, a product that they feel is actually going to yield some type of return on investment. And I'm always annoyed because I did a segment a couple weeks ago about an actress named Jennifer Esposito who financed her own film, and it didn't do well, and she ended up having to sell her home because she mortgaged her house so that she could make this movie. And it didn't make any money because, now people are trying to use Markiplier as like the argument for this when that's not accurate. He's somebody who has a built-in audience of like 30 million people. So when he independently makes a movie, there is a built-in audience that an independent filmmaker with no following has. But they're basically trying to say that they want to make the art the way they want, but they don't want to pay for it. They want the big guy upstairs to pay for it
Yeah.
and to trust them. How do you feel about that? Because I feel like this is one of those things where there's two classes of artists. There's the ones who are business minded, who at least kind of tacitly understand it, and then they're the ones that maybe couldn't balance a checkbook, but they really believe in the power of art, and they kind of come down fighting on this topic.
So I think that if you're the one that's going to finance the art or finance whatever it is, you shouldn't be giving money to people you don't believe in.
Okay.
Right? You shouldn't be giving money to artists that don't produce something that you think is viable, right? And there is a risk that you're going to lose money. This is why labels sign a ton of bands, and they'll see what, they sign a bunch of bands or a bunch of creatives for basically the, multiple records to see if they can either develop them and promote them into a space where they can become profitable, or hopefully from the label's perspective, one of them just hits and does well, right? And they're going to dump a lot of money into doing what they can to make sure that happens. But you shouldn't be signing, I don't think that labels or studio houses should be going into business with artists that they don't believe in, because nobody goes to see Universal Pictures movies because they're Universal. They go.
I actually make,
almost no one.
I make an argument that I say that Universal Pictures is the only studio title credit that doesn't immediately fill me with nameless
Okay, so
dread.
maybe Universal.
Them and Paramount
was that was a bad.
But in general, I understand your
the
point.
vast majority. You're the first person that I've ever heard say that. Save for maybe Disney, right?
Yeah.
Disney's another one where people that are fans of Disney will go. But for the most part, people are not going to see a movie because it comes from a studio. They're going because they like the actor, or they like the director, or they like the writer, because those are the people that they're relying on to create the thing that they want to see. And so if the people that are in the studio are too involved in creating and trying to shape the creation, you end up with either a situation of too many cooks making spoiling the broth, making the product watered down. You end up with a situation of the artist's vision doesn't come to fruition, or what have you. I think that it is incumbent on the studios to allow the artists to create the product that they want to create, and the studios run the risk of it not panning out. But they have to. I think they should let the artists create what the artists are going to create, and if they don't like it, they shouldn't work with that artist.
I think that the issue is that the process of making a movie is so collaborative, and it involves so many. It passes through so many hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it starts with a writer. Then it goes to rewrites. From rewrites, you find a director. A director then works with the writer, the lighting designer, your director of photography. It's not a singular vision in a lot of ways. In the studio, for the most part, they're not thinking in terms of art. They're thinking in terms of demographics, and they're thinking in terms of markets. Mm-hmm. So one of the critiques I have of Hollywood is they try too often, and this would actually be an argument kind of for your point. Too much of what they try to make is what they call 4-quadrant pictures, which is it's for men and women, young and old. Oftentimes when you try to make something for the widest audience possible, you end up making it for nobody because it doesn't actually inspire anyone. Mm-hmm. The original Rambo, I think they said the first cut was over 3 hours long. Wow. By the time it was done, it was down to like an hour and 20 minutes, and it's a beautiful thing. I love that movie, but it's not what it was originally envisioned as. It's different from what I understand the source material. I think it's based on a book. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But it came out very differently from how they originally intended it. And there are numerous examples of, artists being allowed to make... Joker Folie à Deux would be a good example of them being like, yes, Todd Phillips, Joker was successful. You can make whatever you want for Joker Folie à Deux. And it became a musical where, he ends up getting gang raped at the end. And nobody liked it. Nobody wanted to see it. It was it was abysmal box office compared to what.
I didn't see the second Joker because I didn't like the first Joker. So.
But the point is that the one resonated highly with the audience. The other one didn't, and they gave the director complete creative control. This also happened in Wonder Woman 1984. When they made the first Wonder Woman movie, it was based on the blueprint by Zack Snyder. You love Zack Snyder. He helped a lot with the rewrites on that movie. After Wonder Woman was successful in 2017, I believe it was, Patty Jenkins was given free reign to make whatever she wanted in Wonder Woman 2, and what they got was... was that it was really, really bad,
Yeah.
and nobody wanted to see it. So sometimes I would say that you're right. If you have the right creative mind, that person gets more leeway. But if it's somebody without a proven track record, guardrails need to be put up in the studios. We just did a story yesterday about Maggie Gyllenhaal directed this new movie coming out called The Bride, where they basically told her, they're like, there's too much sexual violence in this. Like, people aren't going to want to see it. And she's like, it's because, like, she's like, I had a friend, and she was like, they wouldn't have done this to a woman if it was a man. I could give you 5 examples of directors who have been prevented from
men portraying sexual violence is totally acceptable.
That's actually what they're saying. I mean, that's actually what they're saying. I mean, a lot of people believe that what they're doing there is it's a marketing ploy. They know they've got a bad movie on their hand.
Yeah.
So they're switching the marketing right now to try and turn it into outrage marketing rather than just traditional marketing.
Sure.
But the point being that, it is an interesting discussion to have for all involved. And now what Paramount is worrying about, on top of, that type of creative control, we have to look at what the other creatives in Hollywood are saying. Paramount's takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery has raised concern amongst artists who worry that the Ellisons' coziness with Trump administration could stifle free expression.
Yeah.
The Ellison scares the shit out of me, said one A-list director. Are the movies they put out going to be catered to Trump's tastes? Are they going to start cracking down on content that they don't feel to be ideologically aligned with the right? Well, if what you're putting out is Starfleet Academy, I don't think if it matters that it's left or right, it matters that it's garbage that nobody actually wants to see. And if we're talking about Ellison's political views, David Ellison vows that CNN will operate independently as Paramount takes over. That's what he said I believe he was on CNBC. Says Ellison responded when they asked him, in the interview, anchor David Faber said that there is certainly a perception and or of fear, perhaps, that once you take control of CNN and given the changes you've made at CBS News, that you will be more beholden to the Trump administration. He then asked the Paramount CEO, the Paramount Skydance CEO, can you address that potential fear, at least on the part of many? And he said, so look, I've said this since the beginning, which is, for when it really comes to editorial independence will absolutely be maintained. It's maintained at CBS. It'll be maintained at CNN. And really who we want to talk to is the 70% of Americans and really around the world that identify as center left, as center right. And we want to be in the truth business. We want to be in the trust business, and that's not going to change. Well, I don't remember the last time CNN or MSNBC it's MS Now, right? That's what it's called.
Yes.
I don't remember last time them or even Fox News was necessarily in the what you call truth business, but clearly they do at least look to try and placate some aspect of the middle, or they think that that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, look, the idea that you need to tie this to Donald Trump is just it's a symptom of today's political culture and how people have many people have replaced things that they used to look to find what's the word I'm looking for, to try to find companionship, try to find people with like minds, and they've replaced that with politics.
Yeah,
they're just like, well, I'll stick to this tribe, and if I dislike Donald Trump in the proper way and I condemn things that are tacitly associated with him, even as far as, well, I don't like this movie because the people that own the company, or I'm concerned about this movie because the people that own the company are somehow tacitly connected to Trump. That's become some kind of way to signal your tribal allegiance.
The sad thing is I feel like homeless, man. In the entertainment sense. So I did this post last night. There's this new show called R.J. Decker, and I was reading all of these just brutal reviews of this show about how they humiliate the main character. It's super woke. And I watched the first 15 minutes, and those moments were definitely in there. I'll give you the breakdown. The character's a PI who goes to jail for beating up a kid who broke into his car. He sleeps with the kid's sister without knowing it, and then she testifies against him, sends him to jail. He gets out. He can no longer work as he was before he got out.
Doesn't have convalescent visitation?
No, I don't think. He was only in there for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
But he gets out and he has to become a PI because he can't work at a newspaper anymore because that's what he did beforehand. He was a photojournalist. And he tries to interact with this detective who is now the wife of his ex-wife. Yes, that is what happens. And the detective is snarky and rude to him, and they talk down to him. And I'm like, okay, I'm on board. Finally, one of these shows where everybody talks about how bad it is. But by like the halfway point, the really annoying detective is now softened on him. She says, I'm never going to help you with anything. I'm not going to give you any information, blah, 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 blah. By the middle of it, she's helping him, and he helps solve the case. And he has some moments where he gets to solve the case. It's his find. He makes all the connections. And he's spoken up highly by his ex-cellmate, who is now a bar owner. And then the lady who... sent him to jail through perjury, now is helping him because she feels bad about it. So I read all of these reviews that were super negative, and technically they're right, but it's a frame of reference to what your worldview is. If an annoying detective is that annoying, which she was, you're not even going to make it past the 10-minute mark and watch the character soften. And most people aren't willing to anymore. And I feel like, for me, I'm in this bubble here where everybody looks at this stuff and hates it. And I feel like I'm supposed to hate it most of the time because everybody's telling me that it's bad. But not everything is Starfleet Academy, or not everything is Rings of Power, or all of these things. And I end up finding most of the time that my takes on stuff, both politics and entertainment, end up being somewhere in the middle and completely homeless of what everybody else thinks.
Yes, I understand that perspective. I do think that I think people on the right are definitely sensitive to this stuff, and they don't want to support projects that kind of do that type of, characterization of men and characterization of stereotypical people. I think that when you start a show with people that are like that, you're going to turn a certain segment of the audience off, and they're not going to get to the part where there's character development. They're not going to get to the part where the breakthroughs happen, the interpersonal breakthroughs happen.
15 years ago, they would have been willing to make it that far. And
but it's been shoved down your throat so much that people are like, oh, it's another one of these. I'm just going to turn it off and find something else. And that's something that, studios or people that create these kind of things, the writers and stuff, that's something that they need to realize, that like if you are too ham-fisted with this stuff in the beginning and it's too over the top, you're going to turn people off, even if you're intent in the movie or in the show is to show the development, right? The character development through the whole thing. If you're too strong on certain topics in the beginning, you're going to have people say, I don't want to watch this because I expect it to be the same through the whole movie. I'm tired of this narrative, and so I'm going to find something else. And again, that might do a disservice to that might be people doing a disservice to themselves because they don't stick around to watch the character development. But that's just the society that we live in. People are very, very, they're very tribal right now. And if you don't give them something early to watch, again, with attention spans as well, people are very quick to swipe away from things they don't like. If you don't give them something to latch onto early, then you're going to end up with people saying, I don't like this and I'm going to find something else because I have a bajillion options.
Yeah, the person I was talking to about it, who's basically like, they kind of denigrate him, and he was talking about basically he's ineffectual. And I said, well, no, the point is like most men love the idea of the hyper competent lead, right? That's the male power fantasy, is to be really good at something. You're prepared for every situation. You're at the top of your field. That's the reason why certain types of characters, like if you go watch old episodes of Arrow, Oliver Queen starts out, granted, for most of the show in the current timeline, he's the best at everything because he's been basically turned into a weapon after spending 5 years on a deserted island. But the point is like this show wasn't supposed to be that. This was supposed to be somebody down on his luck who's then trying to turn his luck around, but people just don't want to watch that type of storytelling because they don't feel like they're ever going to see it. They feel like it's going to end up backfiring, and it's just going to be that the whole time. But it does kind of connect back, and I do believe that the celebrities should be mocked and laughed at for suddenly clutching their pearls and pretending like, oh, now there's a company trying to exercise political influence. Well, you've still got Disney, you've still got ABC, you've still got all of these other what are the other ones? I tried to write them all down. So there's Netflix, Disney, Amazon, Universal, Paramount. Amazon, you can make the argument that they're somewhere closer to the middle. They make some hits and they make some misses. Disney has tried to pull back to the middle, but we know what their beliefs are. We know that the executives at Netflix are largely Democrat, donors.
Yeah.
They're clutching their pearls because they don't want you to exercise any type of power once you have it. They want to pretend like, oh, now it's happening for the first time. It's not. All right. You're gonna love this one because you are, perhaps out of everybody that works here, I would say that you are the most pro AI. At the very least, you're the one who wants to talk about the future that AI can create for all of us. Well, Hollywood, Phil, is not pro AI in any real meaningful way. They're absolutely terrified of AI. They, in fact,
a lot of black pillars about AI.
Yeah, but they treat AI the same way that they talk about ICE, which is you can tell how upset someone is by when they devolve into unnecessary swearing. So what I always say, the joke I always make is like they're always like, fuck ICE, FAI. They do this because they don't really oftentimes, either they don't understand it or they don't have a rebuttal. But the point here is that Ben Affleck has now joined with Netflix. He started an AI filmmaking venture.
There you go.
And it's a new startup that is going to be working for Netflix. It's a company called, what is it here? I got it pulled up. In a rare acquisition, it's called Interpositive, a startup founded by Ben Affleck that makes AI-powered tools for filmmakers. Terms of the acquisition are not being disclosed. The entire 16-person Interpositive team of engineers, researchers, and creatives will join Netflix through their acquisition, and Affleck will serve as a senior advisor to Netflix to provide ongoing guidance. While Netflix historically is more of a builder than a buyer, the company said it saw Affleck's Interpositive as providing a unique set of AI tools that keeps filmmakers at the center of the process. Netflix will offer access to Interpositive's technology to its creative partners and does not have plans to sell it commercially on the marketplace. The reason I bring this up is, and we'll watch this clip here first, I think that there is a path forward for everyone in Hollywood that ends up taking that more pragmatic approach to Hollywood or to AI, which is that it can't be uninvented. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's not.
There's nothing you can do about it. The best thing you can do is to make yourself useful within the paradigm that AI offers. And I think Ben Affleck is smart enough to understand that. This was a clip of him talking about it on Joe Rogan. So we'll listen to this really quickly so you can kind of get an idea where he's coming from.
Is, for example, if you try to get ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini to write you something.
This is a couple months old. He's already mentioned Claude.
And it's shitty because
been around for a
by its nature, it goes to the mean, to the average. And it's not reliable. And I just can't stand to see what it writes. Now, it's a useful tool if you're a writer and you're going, what's the thing? I'm trying to set something up, or somebody sends someone a letter, but it's delayed 2 days and it can give you some examples of that. I actually don't think it's very likely that it's going to be able to write anything meaningful, and in particular, that it's going to be making movies like from whole cloth, like Tilly Norwood. Like, that's bullshit. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's not. I think it turns out the technology is not progressing in exactly the same way they sort of presented it. And really, what it is going to be a tool. Just like sort of visual effects, and it needs to have language around it. You need to protect your name and likeness. You can do that. You can watermark it. Those laws already exist. I can't sell your fucking picture for money. I can't. You can sue me, period. It kind of feels to me like the thing we were talking about earlier, where there's a lot more fear because we have this existential dread. It's going to wipe everything out.
Right.
But that actually runs counter, in my view, to what history seems to show, which is adoption is slow, it's incremental. I think a lot of that rhetoric comes from people who are trying to justify valuations around companies.
Okay, so that's what I want to talk about. So do you think that part of this is people talk about AI being a bubble? Do you think part of this is marketing?
So there's a few different perspectives when it comes to AI being a bubble, and there's a few things that could actually create that reality. So if AI doesn't work, right, that's one of the things that would actually make AI become a bubble. If all of the hype around AI doesn't translate into functional stuff that people can do, that could end up making all of the investment malinvestment. There was this in the people like to equate it to the .com bubble, and there's this idea or this phenomenon that happened during the .com bubble that most people don't think about, and it was called dark fiber. Right? Everyone knew that the internet was coming. Everyone knew that it had massive potential. And so all of these companies started laying all of this fiber undersea to connect the United States with other countries, to basically connect the whole world. and there was a massive investment in this stuff, and it was really expensive to do to lay these cables first. You know, that you have to basically have a trawler go and lay miles, or not a trawler, but a ship, right? Miles and miles and miles of, you know, thousands of miles of cable connecting basically the whole world. And once that was done, there was not the functionality on the internet to justify that fiber being laid. So there was no payment plans. There was no way to basically do internet payments that was secure. There was a lot of problems, like the old.
What time was this? Like, what year was this?
This is right around 1999, 2000, right before the dot-com bubble blew up. And everybody was buying these dot-coms, these websites, but the websites themselves were little more than advertisements for existing companies or what have you, or sometimes they were just ideas. Nowadays, all the money that goes into,
you mean like blogs or like posts and stuff, but not like.
Well, no, even like Pets.com is one that gets mentioned all the time, right? Because Pets.com was valued at some ridiculous amount of money, and you couldn't do anything on it. You could go and look, but they didn't have the delivery service. You couldn't make payments. It just didn't have stuff there for you, and everybody knew that it was coming. Everyone knew that those kind of features were going to be there in the future. No one knew when. And being early is the same as being wrong, right? Like you can invest money, and if you invest money and it doesn't happen fast enough for you to make your return, or when people decide they're tired of waiting, being early is the same as being wrong. With the AI stuff that's going on now, all of the money goes into GPUs. Like, these GPUs are built. There's a couple bottlenecks that are coming. Like I said, there's a possibility that AI doesn't actually do what people think it can do. I personally think that's wrong.
Do you think part of that is just is more of a means of like what the average person is able to conceive of doing with it?
Partially,
like whether it's functional for, like, earlier you said, I was explaining to you like the average day of me, like on the days where I'm prepping the show alone. And you're like, have you thought about like getting an AI to do it? I'm like, I think I'm too dumb to figure it out.
Partially, but once. Have you heard we can actually put a pin in there because there's a couple things I want to get to. There's the idea that the AI isn't good enough, and then the other bottlenecks that you have to worry about are producing enough electrons, producing enough electricity, and producing enough GPUs. It is more likely that we are going to see a bottleneck with electricity production before we see a bottleneck with GPUs. All the GPUs that get made, they get used. Right? They literally do. There's not a creation of GPUs that are sitting on shelves waiting for people to buy them. And that's why I brought up dark fiber. That dark fiber was a big investment. People spent a lot of money on it. It was laid, but there wasn't the traffic to justify it yet. And that was one of the major factors in the dot-com bubble. With a possible AI bubble, there is no situation where they're not producing GPUs, or they're producing GPUs that are sitting on the shelf that people aren't buying. Every GPU is getting bought. All of the RAM's costs have gone through the roof because everybody's buying the RAM. So it's not a situation of this. There aren't people that are looking to buy these products. Intelligence is not the same thing as a website, right? You can never have too much intelligence. You can never have too many. You can never have a computer that's too good at stuff, right? You might have it be good enough for your uses, but there are other people that would be able to use more intelligence. That's something that there's not really a cap on it. So I personally don't think there is an AI bubble. I think there are a couple bottlenecks that need to be solved. And if those are not solved, they could create bubble-like conditions because these things need to get solved, and there's malinvestment, and the technology doesn't keep up. But the actual idea that there's a bubble in the valuation of a lot of companies, I don't think that's the case. I think Nvidia is probably undervalued. I think Musk's company is undervalued because of what they actually, because of the potential of what they're talking about.
We got 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, regarding RJ Decker, understand that, oh my gosh, I don't know what it's, Hyacinth fans, if that's the author, I apologize. I know that the show is based on a book series that I have not read. He says, understand that Hyacinth fans, especially us Floridians, love the slightly nativist slant in his books. The different feel of the series is getting noise from fans of the original book. Double whammy. Yeah, I pointed out when I was kind of going back and forth with people, I said, look, I haven't read the books, so my interpretation of the show is purely based on what I saw on screen. And how it performs as an adaptation is, of course, a very, very different thing, and people have different takes on how loyal something should be to the source material. But I absolutely understand the critiques, even if mine were softened by the end of it. Okay,
hold on. And to your question about do people just don't know what to do with it, or I don't know that I'm smart enough to use it. That kind of thing is going to be solved once you have AI agents in your phone. So right now, Apple's Siri in your Apple device is dumb. It's dumb as a box of rocks. It can do a handful of things. It can tell you what time it is. It can start a timer for you. But for the most part, Siri's basically useless. When you can ask your phone, "Hey, do this for me," and you just literally just call out its name, say, "Hey, can you do this?" And it actually can do that. Access apps in your phone, do things in your phone, and produce results in the real world for you. That's when people will be like, "Oh, it's not that I'm too stupid or don't know how to use it. I can just talk to it." And there's this phrase that people hear that they may not know that our viewers may not know what it is, but it's called vibe coding. What that means is you're not actually typing code into a computer. You're telling an AI, I want this. I want a computer program or an app to do this. I want it to look like this. I want it to look like that. And you're telling it in English. So what's happening is the AI is taking your English words, changing it into code that the computer can understand. So it's literally just translating, and then it can actually write whatever program you're trying to do. And essentially what I'm talking about when I'm talking about talking to Siri or whatever your AI agent in particular is, you're literally going to be able to tell your phone to do things, and it will actually do things that produce results in the real world for you. That's only probably 2 generations away. I don't think that it'll be next year, the next line of iPhones that come out. But I think the following year, Siri will be an agent the way that Siri was kind of marketed back in 2013. This is actually something that I was talking with Tank about. I was like, hey, how come it's taken so long for agents to become available to the whole, to the population? For anyone that doesn't know, Tank is my AI agent. And Tank was telling me, he's like, look, this was kind of sold to people as one thing, but once OpenClaw became available, that's when everything was put together. There are these functionalities and these capabilities, like they exist, but they just hadn't been put together in a smooth fashion. Now that you've got something like OpenClaw, all the other AI companies are scrambling. Apple is a hardware company, and they have been a hardware company for a long, long time. They'll talk about OS or iOS and what it can do and how it looks and stuff, but at the end of the day, they're not selling computer programs. They're not selling software. They're selling iPhones. They're selling computers. They're selling Apple TVs. They're selling physical products. Apple gave up on the intelligence kind of thing a long time ago when they put Siri out and they couldn't get it to work like an agent. And again, this is like 10 years ago that it came out. When they put Siri out and they couldn't get it to work like an agent, they kind of stopped really pushing AI. There's been all these companies, Anthropic, ChatGPT, all these companies that have been working on AI. Even Meta's doing it, Google, and Apple's kind of been sitting on the sidelines waiting. And what's likely going to happen is Apple's going to decide who they want to work with. They're going to take that product and they're going to put it into the iPhone. And you're going to say, I'm not going to say because I'm not going to turn everyone's phone on. Yes. But you're going to say, Siri, do this for me, and it's going to do it, and it's going to be powered by ChatGPT. It's going to be powered by Claude. It's going to be powered by Grok. So in a very short amount of time, like I said, I don't think next year, because agentic AI is just now starting to get out to the masses with Claude. I'm sorry, with OpenClaw. But I think probably in the following year, in 2028, the version of iPhones that come out in the fall, because they do it every year, I think those are going to have an actual AI assistant in them. And once that happens, then people are going to realize, oh, I am smart enough to use AI because I'm smart enough to ask a question.
Okay. It's so funny. I refused to upgrade my phone and my charger. Like, the port on my charger just went out. So I just bought another of the, it costs like nothing because I have like a Galaxy S20, and I just bought like another Galaxy S20s or S20 Ultra because I don't want to get away from expandable storage, because everything that I use is stored on a micro SD card, and I don't want to have to go to cloud based for everything. So it's like the phone costs nothing because it's from 2020. All right, let's move on. Phil is going to love this one, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you. There was a new survey done, and we are going to get into all of it here. There was a new survey done that says Gen Z males are twice as likely as boomers to believe that wives should obey their husbands. So what they're saying is that Gen Z is going far right right now. Global survey. Remember, this is not the U.S., by the way. This is a global survey. Global survey shows young men and boys hold more traditional views about gender roles than older generations. Almost a third of Gen Z men and boys think a wife should obey her husband, according to a global survey of 23,000 people that found young men hold more traditional views about gender roles than older generations. A third of Gen Z males also said that a husband should have the final word on important decisions, according to the 29-country survey, which included Great Britain, the U.S., Australia, and India. It found that Gen Z males born between 1997 and 2012 were twice as likely as baby boomer men born between 46 and 64 to have a traditional view of decision-making within marriage, with just 13% of men in the older cohort agreeing that a wife should always obey her husband. Among women, 18% of Gen Z and 6% of baby boomers agreed. Wow, so it's even a higher percentage among Gen Z women than of boomer women. People of both genders in Indonesia, 66%, and Malaysia, 60%, were most likely to agree with the statement, compared to just 23% in the U.S. and 13% in Great Britain. The annual research of over 16s was conducted by the IPSOS, it says like Ipsos, and the Global Institute for Women's Leadership at King's College London, and revealed the stark difference in the beliefs of different generations of men when it comes to gender roles. Almost a quarter of Gen Z males think that women should not appear too independent or self-sufficient, compared with 12% of baby boomers. Attitudes towards sexual norms also differed sharply across generations, with 21% of Gen Z males thinking that a real woman should never initiate sex, compared to only 7% of boomer men. More than half, 59% of Gen Z males said that men were expected to do much to support equality, compared to 45% of boomer men. Too much. They were expected to do too much in support of equality. For women, the proportions were 41 and 30%, respectively. Despite being the most likely to believe a woman should not appear too independent or self-sufficient, Gen Z males were also the group most likely to believe women should have a successful career. We're also the group most likely to believe women who have a successful career were more attractive to men. 41% agreed with that statement. The professor who put this study together said that there were some encouraging signs that the support for gender equality remains strong, such as an agreement that there should be more women in government. I knew you would love that. I wasn't even going to cover this until I saw more women in government.
That's ridiculous.
Yes. I knew you would love that. I think there's a lot of grievances, a lot of fear of men losing social positions. No,
it's results based.
And there's a vacuum that's being filled with rhetoric and voices who are trying to pitch young men against gender equality, against young women, and against migrants. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
It's leftist slop.
I know. The results of the survey also suggest Gen Z males have more traditional expectations of their own behavior and choices. For example, 30% of Gen Z males believe men should not say "I love you" to their friends, compared with 20% of boomer men and 21% of Gen Z women. 21% of Gen Z males believe that men who took part in caregiving for children was less masculine than those who did not.
So there's a whole lot there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm definitely, like, I hug my guy friends, you know, and I'm an "I love you" man guy. Yeah. That's total. I'm totally comfortable. I tell
They're
my
almost
friends,
regressing to like a cartoonish.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
But the idea that one of the things that stuck out to me was like the idea that, you know, women shouldn't be in these positions, or men think women shouldn't be in these positions because they're afraid and blah blah blah. No, it's 100% results based, right? Like, there are people that consistently see female judges allowing criminals to go, like allowing to go free, giving them light sentences, and that has a real, tangible effect on society. It becomes more dangerous when you have criminals on the street as opposed to putting them in jail. That is a real, present, and tangible negative result of having people in positions to put bad guys in jail that think of of what's the word I'm looking for? That have too much empathy for people that have done things wrong. There's been studies that show that men, when they watch movies or watch a video or whatever where a bad guy is punished, they feel good because the bad guy is punished because they have a sense of justice, right? Doesn't matter what the context was. The bad guy did a bad thing, did something horrible, and so he's punished. Men are like, good, that makes me happy. And the women will watch the same thing and they will think, I don't know why they're being so harsh with him. There should be mercy, et cetera, et cetera. And that has a direct negative effect on society. Mm-hmm. If you have too many women judges that aren't putting criminals in jail, that means your criminals are on the street. That means they're going to reoffend, because people that commit crimes generally don't commit one crime and then stop committing crimes. If you're the type of person that will commit crimes, yeah, there is a high level of recidivism, and people generally will commit more crimes. So you take those people off the street. Allowing people that have committed crimes to go back into society harms society. It makes society a worse place. Mm-hmm. So these people that commit crimes, they need to be taken out of society and isolated. That's the kind of thing that people are talking about when they say suicidal empathy. Yeah. These are the results of women making decisions based on empathy, as opposed to making decisions based on what is going to be best for the society. Whether it be immigration and saying, well, everybody that gets here should be allowed to stay. No, that's not true at all. There are different cultures in the world, and people that come from different cultures that don't align with our culture shouldn't be allowed to stay. There's nothing magic about American soil. It's not like you step on it and automatically you're a Jeffersonian Democrat who loves Republican forms of government. You're still the same person. You're just in the United States. And when you bring a lot of those people, they'll create an enclave and they'll vote for people that will offer them or provide for them either cover for when they break the law, or will try to pass laws that benefit them exclusively. And that's one of the things that you saw in Minneapolis with the Somali community. They expected the elected representatives not just to provide them with services that they can access, but also to cover them when they committed crimes. There was a person in Maine who was complaining to his representative. I saw a video of. He was saying, "We voted you in, so you need to cover for us when we're." And I'm paraphrasing, but he was saying, "We voted you in, so you need to cover from us. You need to shield us from the law when we break the law, because if you don't, we won't vote for you again." And it's like, bro, that's not how our system works at all.
That was why it was made so difficult to get into the country in the first place,
yes,
right?
100%.
Very strict immigration rules. First of all, it meant that they could actually afford to move here, and they were going to be net benefits to society rather than net drains. And the idea is they had to really, really want to move here to hold the same values that we did.
And regardless of how popular this comment is, all of this is a result of a leftist view, which in the United States is strongly influenced by feminism.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, that's the other one. It says both genders felt that women had more choices in dating and relationships, 22% household roles, and the clothes that they wear, while men were considered to have more choices in hobbies and jobs. Definitely more choices in the dating market, I suppose everybody would agree on that. Do you think that this is basically a response to the rise of feminism, and I suppose you could say the general rise of liberalism post-Obama?
Progressivism
or
in general.
like early Obama into the 2012 and such?
I do think so, but if you look at charts or polls or whatever, women are far more likely to be woke, quote unquote, than men. And I think that this is a manifestation of that, right? Women that are single, that are basically, generally they're progressive or Democrats or liberals, however you want to phrase it, they still want the same kind of help that women that are conservative get from their husbands and men in their life. But because they think of themselves as independent, they want that help to come from the government. So instead of saying, well, I'm going to get married and I'm going to have a man that takes care of the family, they say, well, I don't want to get married. I don't need no man. I have the police. I have social services. I have benefits from the government. I have daycare. There's all these roles that are filled by government, making it possible for women to be, quote unquote, strong, independent, don't need no man women. Like conservative women, they try to find a man that will do those things.
Yeah.
And that's why they get married, so they can stay home and take care of the kids. Or, I mean, generally, like, it's hard to raise a kid. It's hard to have a kid. I do a lot of stuff at home for our baby, but I go to work and when I'm not home, Sarah's taking care of the kids. There are times where Sarah will lose out on sleep because I have to sleep more because I'm going to work or what have you. I have to do things for the band or for the podcast and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's normal. But generally, like, outside of stuff at the home, Sarah doesn't worry about stuff. Like, I pay all the bills. I take care of the house. I take care of all of the things that need to be taken care of. And she basically outside the house, and she takes care of basically inside the house. That kind of thing has been replaced with progressive women, and they tell themselves, society lies to them and tells them, no, you don't need a man to take care of these things. You don't need a man. You can do this all on your own. You're a strong, independent woman. But what they don't realize is they're relying on society to do the things, they're basically relying on the government to do the things that men used to do.
Is there a bit of a disconnect here? Because they're saying that Gen Z men are holding this position, but one of the things I find most interesting is now women are out earning men at a lot of jobs, and they're out, pacing them at graduating at colleges and entering the workforce. So there's like a weird disconnect between the way Gen Z men hold these values and the way that they're actually moving through society.
I think that at least as far as women being the predominant people or the majority graduating college and stuff like that really is geared towards women. It's not geared towards men anymore, not geared towards young men. High school more than college, I think.
But that's also creating a trap where, because of the way that jobs are set up now, you get stuck in this system where you have to have 5 years of experience for an entry-level position, and you have to have a degree, despite the fact that, like I said, if men are graduating colleges at lower levels, they're being fundamentally pushed out of certain aspects of the job market. At least if you approach it in the traditional way and you don't just try to knock on the door. It's what the boomers would say. Give them a firm handshake and hand them your resume and make eye contact, and they'll hire you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that that's actually the case anymore.
No, it's
like
not.
The idea that you can just go ahead.
But I'm saying, so it's been changed. Now, the fundamental market means that you have 30 requirements right there. Men are graduating colleges at lower levels. They're not going to get the internships because they don't have a college degree where that push them into the internship. And they're trying to find jobs, and there's no jobs there for them in that market. And that's on top of just how difficult it is to get through the application process when jobs that pay not minimum wage but are making them, barely more than minimum wage have like a 3-interview process.
Yeah, but I'm kind of missing your question here.
The point is like women work better under that structure. Through the structure of going from college to internship to job, they follow those paths well. So they're out earning men in a lot of ways, in a lot of markets. Obviously, it kind of focuses differently once you get to the higher levels. The thing I laughed at is like, you know what? All those CEOs of those those fast food companies were white men. Let's go.
Yeah.
The point being that right now the Gen Z men might have a view of marriage that doesn't actually align with what they're able to provide. Like you said, you pay the bills, you take care of all of this stuff. Having those views when you're not able to actually take care of the person is incongruous.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of things that are basically aligned against young men nowadays.
Yeah.
And I think that not just college and high school, but I think the job market is also aligned against young men. I mean, there was that piece that came out a few weeks back that really kind of put into very, very succinct numbers, or a very succinct argument, that men have been treated, young men specifically, have been treated very, very badly by society, and it's largely because of feminism and because of the idea that we need to intersectional feminism more broadly. But they want to hire someone that is diverse. They want to hire women, and it's funny, or I guess it's a compounding problem, because Gen X men are already in these positions. Like you said, the CEOs were all straight white men, right? Those men are already in these positions. And so it's young people that are taking the brunt. So it's Gen Z or Gen X men and boomers and some millennials that have said, we're going to try to diversify. We're going to, doesn't mean that I'm quitting. But that means that when it comes to hiring, we're going to be hiring people that are diverse. So it's
like comedians when they finally start telling you, that joke was inappropriate after they made their money telling inappropriate jokes.
Exactly. And so it's really a situation of older older white men pulling the ladder up behind them when it comes to a specific demographic, which is young white straight men.
The other thing that sucks, guys, is and I hate to be the bearer of this message, which is that it's still untoward to complain. Like, it's not our job in society to complain. It's our job to deal with the shit that the world throws at us and, bear the brunt of it and keep going.
Yeah, I mean, look, there is still, the silver lining is all of these, and I'm going to get back to the I question here, all kinds of white-collar jobs are disappearing. So if you're a young guy that hasn't gone into college yet or is in college, don't worry about learning white-collar jobs, because by the time you get out of college in 3 years or what have you, those jobs are all going to be gone. They're going to be automated. They're going to be computers. They're going to be AI agents doing them. You're starting to see it now. There was a massive job loss in 2025, but there was not a corresponding decline in productivity. And a lot of that is because companies have downsized. And what's happening is AI agents are not just getting rid of people, they're making the people that do stay incredibly productive. So they're doing more work. The people that are there are actually doing more work, accomplishing more, and there are fewer actual human beings involved in the doing of the work.
Yeah. All right. Let's get through these super chats really quick here, guys. We are almost at a second crisis party. Let's get to it here, ladies and gentlemen. This one is from High Voltage 75, says, does Phil approve of his emoji? You have to look on the live chat to see your emoji. You guys, you should flood the chat with the Phil emoji.
Yeah, the problem is I've got my cell phone, so it's tiny. I don't have my computer, so it's tough to see. But I mean, generally, I approve of pictures of myself. So,
Corey Anderson says the Free Britney people were fucking wrong. Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like. Yes. Shane H. Wilder says, I own like 5 or 6 albums on CD and vinyl, a number of movies and shows because their streaming rights are in limbo and are nowhere. Yeah, that's so much of the stuff that I love, man. Of the streaming shows that I love, I'm not able to find on other platforms. I just got really excited like earlier at the end of last year when they finally put the show Endgame on Tubi, which is this show about an agoraphobic chess champion who lives in a hotel and solves mysteries. And it only got 1 season, starred Sean Doyle. I really loved it, but it was never anywhere. You couldn't find it anywhere. So I had it on ad-free Tubi, as one does. All right. Shane H. Wilder says, Brett, words is be hard. Hard day be dough. You are correct.
Yes.
On all accounts. You are very correct. Brian Bledsoe says, bring back home economics and civics in school. Well, I got kind of read the riot act with a post I made recently about apparently there is still civics class in schools. It's just not taught, with as much fervor as it used to be. They don't put as much influence or time into social studies the way that they used to. All right. Corey Anderson says, Phil, what is the difference between hardcore, metalcore, and deathcore music?
There's a larger difference between hardcore and metalcore and deathcore than there is a difference between metalcore and deathcore. Deathcore, you generally don't hear any singing, and it's very breakdown focused. Metalcore, at least modern metalcore, what people consider metalcore now, usually there's singing mixed with screams. Generally, it tends to be a little groovy, but mixed with kind of influence from European metal. And hardcore is, I guess, it's a little more influenced by punk. It's generally very, very aggressive. Modern hardcore, they're using modern guitar tones. There was a long time where hardcore had like really crappy guitar tones, and they were closer to punk rock than anything else. So.
Burned Oil says Phil has a nice resemblance to Britney Spears.
I do. I look just like her, especially the beard.
Shane H. Wilder says Cavill played it smart. You don't talk about your adult personal life with a child, especially if they are of the opposite sex.
Smart.
Yep. Corey Anderson says, I'm a little busy right now, Brett. That was because he super chatted earlier about, what did he say? He said, I need to do my job better. He's like, you need Mary for everything. He's like, well, you know what? You want to send me an assistant here to help run the show? I will take it. I will take whatever I can get. All right. Username we do not say on this channel. This is why I don't like being around women or interacting with them beyond what is absolutely necessary. Almost all insane and not worth the trouble. Well, I don't know about almost all insane, but risk risk versus reward analysis is a real thing.
Yeah.
But that's just my leftist, pro-feminist take, I guess. Not all women are insane. Corey Anderson says, pro-war, Metallica's first album name. The Burger Wars is going to be my first album.
Pro-war was Metallica's first album's name?
That's what he said.
I thought that it was, the demo was called No Life Till Leather, then the first actual record release was called Kill 'Em All. But
okay. Shane H. Wilder says, I had a coworker asked where I ordered my Thank you guys. I said earlier, I stole a line from everybody about Ian. I said, Phil rolling 20s.
Oh, there you
Phil
go.
rolling 20s. All right. He says, I'll rephrase that one because he got interrupted. I had a coworker asked where I ordered my barbecue chicken. When I said that I made it, yes, even made the sauce. Hold, please. There we go. They looked at me like I had two heads. Yeah, they saw that you made your own food and were like, what? Not that John Stewart says, order Five Guys fries, well done. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson says, In-N-Out has the best fries. Second is McDonald's.
That's insane.
Okay.
Okay.
Bob Man says, the sea salt fries with a Frosty is a meal. I agree. Corey Anderson says, tried the Big Arch. Too sloppy and not remarkable. I believe it. Dingus Khan of Gongolia says, forget fast food CEOs eating their own burgers. I want Gordon Ramsay to try all four and judge. He's not as mean as he used to be, I'm told.
I think the mean was just him putting it on for the show.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder says, my favorite burger is from Phil's in Austin. Hey, it's yours. Phil's in Austin. My hometown of Midland has one called Michael's Charcoal Grill, built in an old military airplane hangar.
Nice.
Sounds cool. Brian Bledsoe says, get the Waffle House CEO in there to fight them. I did see one person say on the post to all four of them, it says, bro, the KFC's CEO is going to show up in blackface and take a big bite of chicken wing. Bob Man says, the McDonald's CEO still looks like a dealer having to use his own product under duress. Well, yeah, that's why the dealers, provide. They bring a junkie along to try the product. Don't do that, guys. Pop Culture Junkie says, Phil, I always get a backup burger. The new one is disappointed too many times.
Yep.
By the way, Papa John's changed their pan recipe in January. Much better.
Oh, good for them.
Okay.
And yes, the backup burger is a great idea. It's a great idea.
Greg Duvier says, Brett, if we get 20 super chats, you watch Star Trek Starfleet Academy and then tell Tim it's the best Star Trek show you have ever watched. Well, that would technically be true because I've never watched any Star Trek, so it would technically be the best I've ever seen. I'm not doing it for 20 super chats. 20 crisis parties today, maybe, not as a standing order. But if you guys get us 18 more crisis parties in the next 5 minutes, then sure. Katie says, I don't think that Aussie workers are being replaced by migrants than AI. Then AI will replace the migrant workers. I do think that. She says, I do think that in Australia, Aussie workers are being replaced by migrants, then AI will replace the migrant workers.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know about time frames, but I think the next 2 years, you're going to see a significant increase in the amount of agentic AI that you see out there in the world. And it's going to be significantly better than the AI that people kind of use now. Like, if you go to chatbots and stuff, they're pretty good, right? But it's not when you call into a call center and you get an AI and just like press one for this, press one for that stuff's going to go away. Within the next couple of years, you're going to call into a call center and you're going to be talking to a robot and you're not going to know it.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder says, it has pretty much been that way for the millennials on. If you graduated any time around the 2008 stock market crash, you kind of got hosed. I feel so much less bad about spending all my time skating then. Shane H. Wilder says, the judgmental Phil is just Phil from the Sure Jan meme. You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Corey Anderson says, I can't type the title of Metallica's 1983 album as a super chat.
Okay.
Yep. Exploding Prinny says, McDonald's peaked in 96 with the Peppered Bacon Arch Deluxe. It's been all downhill ever since. I am hesitant of any burger that puts too much pepper on there. I feel like it's trying to distract from poor taste. I feel this way specifically about specific types of Angus burgers, which I don't actually like the taste of very much. And too much pepper feels like they're adding it to try and distract from like a poor cut of beef not really tasting well. But that's just my own thoughts on the matter. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we go, would you all please hit the like button on this episode, please. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Go and subscribe to the channel and become a channel member so that you can start using all of the emojis. Go check out the brand new members only episode that I put up yesterday with Verbal Riot. We had a great time talking about Marvel. We talked about DC. We talked about AI in Hollywood. We talked about Paramount. Got into a whole bunch of stuff, and that is available for anybody who is a channel member, so you can go ahead, sign up for that now. Thank you guys so much. And Phil, thank you.
You're quite welcome. I am Phil That Remains on X. I am, and the band is All That Remains. I keep going back to the old Instagram thing, still but out of habit. It's been, almost a year since I got rid of Instagram. Anyways, I'm Phil That Remains on X. The band is All That Remains. You can check us out at allthatremainsonline.com. We're going on tour this spring with Born of Osiris and Dead Eyes. Tickets are available at allthatremainsonline.com. If you liked my takes and actually thought that I was rolling 20s, you can check out my Patreon where I put up long form kind of like op-ed stuff there. That is patreon.com/Phil That Remains. You can check out the band All That Remains at Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer. Don't forget the left lane is for crime.
Oh, thank you so much, Shane H. Wilder. He said, don't forget to check the Rumble rants. Yes, I did. I forgot to check the Rumble rants. We got a couple here really quick from Shane H. Wilder. I can't send this on YouTube no matter how I edit it. There is a great doctor who once said, bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. That is true.
Dr. Trey.
We got one more here from Broody Gambit. It says, Phil, have you tried Cookout in North Carolina? Their fries are good, but could probably use the same 30 seconds. The milkshakes are great, and they have like 40 flavors. It was also super cheap.
I will keep my eyes open next time in North Carolina.
Have to do that. All right. Guys, again, before we go, like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Reviews are a great way to help the channel out. If you want to follow us on social media, Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. One more super chat from Greg Duvier before we leave. He will take us to our exit. I like turtles, and the shoulder is for crime. That's what he said. The shoulder is for crime.
That's fair enough.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see you then. Bye, everybody.